My name's Julian Preston. I live in Seattle. That's where I've been my whole life. I'm 11. For fun, I like to play tennis. I like to watch tennis. I like to think about tennis in my head endlessly and not sleep.
Hey, I'm Jason Preston. I'm Julian Preston's dad. Julian has hydrocephalus. He was diagnosed when he was 4 months old and given a shunt at the time. We learned that Julian had hydrocephalus because our pediatrician noticed that the head size was growing, not just staying bigger than the chart, but accelerating past the sort of top of the chart size, so growing at a faster rate. And she had us do an ultrasound. And the results of the ultrasound showed enlarged ventricles, which is sort of definitional for hydrocephalus, and that's what led us to Seattle Children's, where they walked us through kind of the process and ended up giving Julian a shunt. Didn't know anything about hydrocephalus before Julian was diagnosed. As part of the process of getting a diagnosis of hydrocephalus, it was an ultrasound and an MRI. We were given a few options for care, and there were really just two. And it was the neurosurgeon and the neurosurgery team at Seattle Children's, not our pediatrician, that was familiar with the options and sort of the process of care. And the two options were a shunt or something called an ETV, endoscopic third ventriculoscopy. After he had shunt surgery, Julian's head sort of reverted to a normal progression of growth. The surgery was relatively straightforward. It was a relatively short surgery. It didn't have, other than making us feel weird for a little while, it didn't have that big of an impact. I was very happy with how his hair grew right back over it, and it's never really bothered him. I think for him, it's been part of him kind of his whole life, and so he doesn't think of it as weird, which is a blessing. Most of the time, he's in pretty good shape. Most of the time, he's a pretty normal kid. He has some slowness on developing fine motor control and coordination compared to average, but nothing that stands out. And he has periods of time where he struggles with headaches, but otherwise, it's been good so far. I think I would also remind a neurosurgeon that they hold a very special place in that relationship with a patient, with their family. I mean, in many cases, you're the person who's literally saved their child's life. That's a pretty unique position to be in. And to remember that something like hydrocephalus is kind of a lifetime condition. It's not something where someone, for a surgeon, it's a surgery, and for a patient, it's a condition. I think the message I'd like to send to other folks who are living with hydrocephalus or, supporting people who live with hydrocephalus is that there's a lot of normalcy in this. It's like what I would have wanted to hear when I was first given Julian's diagnosis is, your life is not defined by those medical events. Life's big enough to have, you're going to have the opportunity to have a full life no matter what.